right, it's a Good Friday episode of Off Script. We have LSU Bama, spring portal window, Derek Carr's future with the Saints, and a couple draft sleepers. All right, I'm Cade Neidhamer. You can find me at Cade_Neidhamer on Instagram. He's John Todd. You can find him at John Todd Thompson on Instagram. How you doing today?
Doing great, man. Let's get it. LSU playing right now. Game 2.
That's right.
Tuning into it.
4-1. Runner on first. One out in the bottom of the fourth.
Right now.
Well, last game, comeback Cats struck again. How do you feel about that?
If I'm being honest, I think I turned it off and it was 5-1 after they hit like 3 home runs in the same inning.
Nah. Well, oh yeah, Alabama. Yeah.
Yeah, I turned it off and then I turned it back on, and then I see Larson hit the 3-run bomb, and then I tuned in the rest of the game. But overall, just way to battle, come back, and good coaching, honestly.
Yeah, well, I was on my way home from the Southeastern game. Southeastern beat UTRGV last night. And I saw Ashton. I tuned in like as soon as the game ended. I saw Ashton Larson hit that bomb, cut it to 5-4, and what was it, the 6th inning? And then Monster hit the go-ahead 3-run home run. And it was just all Tigers from there.
Yes, sir.
But like you said, yeah. And how about Jay Johnson? His coaching, pinch hitting was phenomenal, was it not?
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have pinch hit Larson right there. So him doing that, trusting the guy who has been having a down year, bringing him in, getting the rally started. I mean, credit to Jay. He
pinch hit, was it Josh Pearson right before Larson? So it was back-to-back pinch hits, and then Larson cut it to 1. Well, Derek Curriel yesterday went 3 for 5, started out and left, transitioned to center, get an RBI, stolen base, and a run scored with a strikeout. He's been doing great all year. Nothing more that you could expect from him. Pitching-wise, Cade Anderson, what did he do? 5 2/3 innings for 10 strikeouts and 5 earned runs.
That's what I said last time. All the strikes he throws, they're gonna get a hold of him eventually.
Well, former teammate Brady Neal got a hold of one, sent it to left field.
His second homer of the year just so happened to be back in Baton Rouge. Yeah. How about that?
Well, a revenge game. Well, I forgot who came in after that. I think Kason Evans ended up coming in.
Yeah, I don't know how long he pitched. Was it only
2 1/3 for a walk and 2 strikeouts?
Done,
yeah, for the weekend. And he got the win. And Connor Benz relieved Kason Evans because he got in a little trouble. Connor Benz came in, allowed 3 walks and a run. Zach Cohen came in to, pick up dirty work, pitched a third inning.
So Evans and Cohen both pitched?
Yeah, in the same game. That's kind of scary, especially for the rest of it. Cohen will be able to pitch probably today or tomorrow. Speaking of Curriel just got to third somehow. And was it Jared Jones?
Fly out by somebody.
Jared Jones.
Of course.
Yeah. What more to expect? Well, you say game 2 on right now. 4-1's your school runners on the corners. Anthony Ianson started the game. He had a bad, shaky outing last time at Auburn last Saturday. Gave up 4 earned runs in 5 innings. So, it's not terrible whenever it's Auburn. Going against him was Riley Quick. He had a good start against Auburn 2 weeks ago and had a pretty good start against Mississippi State last time out last Saturday. 5 1/3, 6 hits and 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts.
Is he still? Oh no, he's out the game.
Yeah, he missed all of last season, I believe, because I remember watching him in 2023 and I didn't see anything about him last year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, game 3 starts tomorrow, 5 p.m. on SEC Network. Chase Shores versus Zane Adams. Zane Adams is normally their Friday starter. So it should be a back and forth battle at the
It'll be a
box.
battle.
Hopefully, it's not a rubber match.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take care of business this game right here.
Yeah, just get over with it, right? And last outing for Zane, he went 1 inning against Auburn. Gave up 1 inning, 6 runs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So hopefully that blown dad starts.
You should have watched that film.
Yeah. But Chase Shores was also shelled last weekend too. So I mean, it might be batting practice for both teams. Ooh, that's how he went 2 innings for 3 runs and got pulled. I forgot who came in to relieve him, but they did pretty good after that, I believe.
I think Evans and Cowan were both available on Sunday, were they not?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, Cowan's might come in for an inning or so, and Casey Evans will probably, if he doesn't pitch today, he'll pitch an inning and a half. Well, was it Wednesday, the spring portal open? It's open for 10 days, 16th to 25th. Did you know this portal cycle has 3,441 players in it?
I had that in my notes. I was ready to say it.
Really?
I think they broke the record yesterday when it opened, or whatever day it opened.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah. Last time I checked, it was at 3,010, but I'm sure it's way above that now.
Yeah, whenever I checked earlier, it was 441. 3,441.
Yes, insane.
Well, I wrote down a couple of notable players, and we're going to save the best for last, because I imagine we're going to talk about that for a little while. First, Texas A&M wide receiver Micah Hudson entered. He did pretty good against LSU, I believe, right?
Against LSU?
Yeah. Because I remember he played.
Micah Hudson?
Yeah. I could be wrong. I might be thinking.
He hasn't even played a game at A&M.
Really?
He was at Texas Tech.
Right?
He entered the portal, so this is his second time entering the portal this year. He went from Texas Tech to A&M.
Yeah, that's right.
He was considering coming to LSU.
Well, how many years does he have left?
I think he was a freshman last year, was he not?
I thought he was too.
So he's got 3 years max. 4 years. They give him an extra year.
Wrote down Army's edge. Elo, how you say, Madozi. He's a senior graduate going into the portal. He'll have 1 year. I didn't write down how many stats, but that could be a piece LSU could go after to add depth to the defensive line. But I was at the spring practice. The edge looked absolutely amazing. Both coming off the sides of the ball, the entire D line. They just don't have bodies right now. Saw Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn get back there a couple times. Well,
they weren't bad last year in the edge there, but I mean, when you look at the defense in general, it should be much improved.
Well, you also
when you got those edge rushers.
Yeah, you lost Jacoby and Guillory for the year, and JVR Suggs is entering the portal, so you need more bodies. And then I got Stanford cornerback Julian Neal. You know who that is?
No clue.
He was at Fresno State for 4 years. Last year he had 35 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 2 pass deflections. So he entered the portal in December, committed to Stanford, and then put his name in the portal again in April.
That's like Micah Hudson. That's what he did.
That's what he did?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I already said the stats. And then the last guy that entered the portal, I believe, is going to do great wherever he goes. Came into college in 2020, so he still has a COVID year. That's his year. Trevor Pena, one of Kyle McCord's favorite targets at Syracuse. He had 84 receptions, which led the team, 941 yards, second on the team, and 9 touchdowns. So this is probably a great red zone target for McCord, who we will talk about later. I wrote him down.
Is that the guy who wanted money to stay at Syracuse? But the coach was like, we're not going to pay him to stay.
I I didn't dig that deep
Yeah, I
into
saw
him.
something about
I
that, so
remember.
that might be who you're talking about.
I don't know. Well, I watched the John Gruden's QB class with Kyle McCord earlier, and he said one of the main reasons he left Ohio State was to go for the coach at Syracuse. He was the coach for him, and whenever he was playing youth ball, and there was a bunch of guys on Syracuse that was playing with McCord, so they had connections and chemistry already.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got Nico Iamaleava. Iamale, I'm leaving. However you say it. What'd you get on
Pajama
him?
man. What'd you say?
What'd you get on Nico? Because I mean, we all understand what happened.
I mean, it's money, is it not? He's winning
Mm-hmm.
plus 1 million, plus 2 million, plus 3 million in his bank account. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy what college football has come to, but it's a free agency in the NFL.
I definitely agree with that. Whenever he came to Tennessee last year, he was making 2.5, and he demanded 4, right?
Pretty
And then
sure. It was,
he just signed for less money he was making at Tennessee to go to UCLA. I mean, whoever gave
is
that
that
kid advice
confirmed? Is
into
he
the
going to
portal,
UCLA?
yeah, it's official.
Oh
And the
man,
1.75 million isn't like set in stone. That's what I read up earlier.
his brother
Well,
was committed to UCLA, was he not?
he decommitted.
Yeah, he was, and he went to Arkansas.
Yeah, yeah. Came to the
Oh,
SEC. So I dug up this story on Nico earlier. His sophomore year of high school, he did a little interview clip saying which schools he was interested in. He named Georgia, Ohio State, USC, and Oregon. Which team was not on there? What? I'm missing a team. Which team that he went to wasn't on there? Tennessee, right? Why do you go? Money. And then the first team he listed on all those was UCLA, which which kind of understands why he went to UCLA and took a pay cut now. UCLA was his dream school. And where's he from? South California? Yeah, LA?
yeah, he'll be closer to home. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Was it
that's
was
enough
it
for
that big of a pay cut?
it
I'm
was
sure he still got more than he was getting at Tennessee.
no,
If he was asking for more,
he got less. He
oh,
got less money.
I guess he kind of screwed himself over.
So well we think that because is he went to Tennessee. I mean he did almost set out the playoffs. And I don't know if the offense really fit him, Josh Heupel's offense. He also lost a lot of people in the portal at Tennessee. But is what is this? $800,000 worth being 6 states away from home in California whenever you're in Tennessee. Because that might be one of his big things, close to home.
Yeah, I
Like
mean that opens up opportunities for his family.
well, that might be another reason he went to Tennessee to get his. I don't know if he had he was from the trenches. Let's say
He wanted the
he
bag,
could.
get the
Yeah,
bag, and
he
leave,
got the bag,
survive in
pay off the
advance.
family. Yeah, that's right. Well, LSU hasn't had many people in the portal this window. I wrote down Jalen Thomas transferred in last year from Grambling. He was probably a walk-on. I don't know if he was a scholarship guy. And you wrote down somebody else.
Javen Nicholas, the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had a little bump during his time at LSU, but I mean, he was not going to be your. He would probably been your number 4, number 5 guy. I mean
Well,
he's consistent when he's like doing spring games and stuff. He looks good, but he just can't find
uh
time on the field. But
that's also hard to do whenever you have playmakers all over the field for Nuss. Dustin Hill, Barian Brown, Aaron Anderson, Nick Anderson, Kyle Parker. You you got weapons all over the field. You
he's
get
really never got a chance.
yeah. You can't. I don't blame him for entering the portal. And also running backs very clogged room. Caden Durham, JT Lindsey's coming in, Harlem Berry, and Caleb Jackson. Caleb Jackson's a guy that denied the rumors of him going in the portal. I mean, he's shown flashes of greatness, but Honestly, if I'm him, I'd in the portal because you're not getting playing time.
I think there was a quote I heard from him. They said he bought him to his own hype after his freshman year.
Yeah,
So
I watched that
good to
too.
see that he's humble now and know he's ready to get to work
Mm-hmm.
and fulfill that potential that we all saw, especially in the Mississippi State game.
Yeah, Mississippi State. And remember last fall camp, he ran over Whit Weeks. It's on the LSU Instagram page if you go look at it. But yeah, he's shown
He's an
flashes.
absolute Frank train.
People were saying he's the next Leonard Fournette and whatnot, and I bought in. I bought into the hype. Hopefully, he can tap into that.
He's because he's very athletic. You would
Mm-hmm.
think a guy. I think he came in weighing like something crazy.
Yeah,
It might have been like 240, something crazy. And for him to be that athletic at 240 is, ridiculous.
Well,
But he's slimmed down. I think he's like 215 now.
Yeah. BK made a comment about Caleb Jackson. He's still developing. He was a soccer player before he was a football player. That surprised me. But
look at his quads and his calves.
Yeah, look at his quads, calves, whatever. He's an athlete. Well, I wrote down a couple positions to monitor for the Tigers. I wrote down safety, defensive tackle, and offensive line. At safety, you added Tamarcus Cooley, the fall winter portal. He's a redshirt sophomore, so he'll have 2 years of eligibility, junior, senior year. And Jordan Gilbert's still out, so you need another body. Right now, I saw at the spring game, you got Tamarcus Cooley, Javian Toviano, and freshman Joel Rogers all circling in the rotation right now at safety. So you have 3 safeties? You need more bodies.
What about Deshaun McBride?
Yeah, him too. I didn't see him getting any run though, but you need
He might
bodies.
have been injured for the day or something.
But
he'll be in there because he started games last year as a freshman.
That is true. For my target, I picked out targets for each position. I picked 3-star Notre Dame freshman safety. I didn't write down his name. I'll find it and I'll edit the video later. But he had 12 tackles and 2 pass breakups. He wasn't getting any run because of Xavier Wise. He was getting, probably playing 50, 60 snaps a game, taking all those reps from him. And all the games he played was blowouts. So I feel like he could be a good ad. You get him for 3-4 years, redshirt and whatnot.
Getting bodies is never going to be. It's always going to be something good you can do.
Mm-hmm. You can't have too many bodies, which is why defensive tackle. I basically did the same thing. You don't have a lot of bodies, depth at defensive tackle like safety. With Jacoby and Guillory still nursing back the Achilles injury, probably won't play. Won't be at 100% game 1, game 2. He probably won't be 100% playing most of the snaps until game 5 or 6. And most of the run this year has come from sophomores Dominic McKinley, who I'm very high on, Ahmad Bro, and transfer Sadir Mitchell, who he did really good at the spring game, I believe. They were all rotating in with the first team.
The depth is crazy and really everywhere on the defense.
I think this defense is probably going to make a great stride.
What were they last year? They finished, was it top 80, top 60?
Yeah, which coming off of the worst defense in LSU history, I feel like that's a really good step.
If they can aim for top 40 at least this year and have a little bit better offense than you had last year, even though it's still great, you're probably going to make the playoffs.
This team is playoff or bust. Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah, well, coming before they got all the transfers, you would have said maybe they would,
maybe
be fringe top 25. But now the expectation with, all the hype and the stuff, the players you've been getting, it's
you're the third best transfer class.
Playoff, national championship. BK's, 4th year now?
Yeah, BK's 4th year.
Yeah.
Well,
if he makes the playoffs, I think his seat is good. But, if he doesn't make the playoffs, his seat's going to get a little hot.
I don't think he's fired if we miss the playoffs. Now, if we go 6 6,
he's going to have way more pressure for sure.
I agree. Well, like I said, if he goes 6 for 6, then the seat is he's on hot coals. For my target, I put Nevada 4-star Christopher Ross. He's a sophomore, redshirt sophomore. He had 30 tackles, 2.5 sacks, and 2 pass breakups, which I feel like could add some really good talent to this defensive line at LSU. No, defensive tackle.
Oh.
So he went up. He was a 3-star coming out of high school.
You said pass breakups, it threw me off.
Yeah, I meant pass deflections. Same thing, like tips. Now, for my last one, I have offensive line. That's going to be a pretty good need because you're losing 4 starters. You bring back DJ Chester. That's your only starter. You're losing Garrett Dellinger. You're losing Will Campbell. You're losing Emory Jones, who all had another year of eligibility. You're only returning guys that kind of played a little. Like I said, DJ Chester, Paul Mabinga, Tyree Adams, Weston Davis, and then your guys that you got in the portal. Josh Thompson. He was the #1 offensive lineman, and Braylon Moore from Virginia Tech.
And you got the freshman, Karius Kern, who could potentially start.
Yeah.
I heard he's been turning heads. So you got, another position where you have depth. Everything's going to play out in fall camp for every position.
Yeah, for every position. You're also getting your recruits on campus. You're not your transfer recruits, but your high school recruits on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Because Harlem Berry was getting a lot of the reps. Well, first team, but you don't have JT Lindsay in the mix yet. So I want to see how that plays out. Because, first off, Caleb Jackson's only going to get like 5 or 6 touches a game now, or really snaps, because it's clogged. Because, you got Harlem Berry, who was getting a decent amount of reps, and Caden Durham getting a lot of them too. He's your starter going into this year.
He's ranked top 5 in SEC running backs right now. I think they had him at 2, actually.
On 3 or what?
It was on Instagram. That was a legit source, though. I'm pretty sure they had him at number 2. So high praise for your running back room.
Yeah, who broke out the second game of the season, third game of the second, right? Because you started out with USC and then you went on the road, college game day.
And the whole season he had to battle that injury. He was maybe 80%. Injury.
Yeah, South Alabama game, which is a terrible game to go down against a Sun Belt school, Fun Belt. Well, for my offensive line target, I put 3-star offensive lineman from Maryland, Andre Roy, comes in as 6'6", 300 pounds.
Pretty massive human being.
Nice frame. Now, that's our tradition. Stat of the day. What do you have?
All right, here we go. Let me read this out to you. All right, so stat of the day. So there's 6 players in NBA history who have averaged 27 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game through their first 27 playoff games. 3 of them happen to be in the Minnesota and LA upcoming series, that being Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James. The other 3 were T-Mac, MJ, and Oscar Robertson. So 3 of those 6 are in the Minnesota-Los Angeles series. Pretty crazy stat.
That's insane. 2 of them are on one team. First off, crazy. LeBron and Luka on the same team is just unreal. I don't know how you're going to stop them. Whenever Luka believes no one can guard him, even Kawhi Leonard. That's unreal.
If this was year 2 with them both on the same team, I'd pick them to win the finals. Yeah, but I don't think it comes early.
Mm-hmm. I agree. You don't have the chemistry. You've played like 20 games together since February 4th was the trade deadline.
If they would have picked up Mark Williams, though, they'd be.
Oh, I agree.
Might have been my favorite.
Well, see, I was kind of iffy on that trade. First off, get Mark Williams, two different dudes. That'll help your defense and anchor your center position. But also, Bron's not going to be playing much longer. You're giving away Dalton Connect, who has already shown is a great rookie. He's shown superstardom, basically. Not superstardom, but stardom. kind of like Austin Reeves. You got the trio of white boys: Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, and Luka Doncic all on one team.
If Brian retires, he could potentially start next year.
Yeah, 1,000%. Well, for my stat of the day, I did the Pelicans one. Trey Murphy last season, or really this season, made 42 consecutive free throws that now holds the franchise record.
Some Steph Curry percentages. What was his percentage from this season?
Uh,
It had to be
I
90 plus, correct?
it's high. I didn't write that down.
In my opinion, he's got to be one of the most consistent free throw shooters in the league.
Oh yeah, and he just broke out.
You don't want to foul him at the end of the game.
1,000%. I agree. But last year he had a great season. Broke out on the scene because of injuries. Kind of got a lot of run, but knee. But he also was injured for the first 2 months of the season. But then he came back. Bi was hurt. DeJounte was hurt. Everybody was hurt. You're running with plumbers. So now we're transitioning to the Saints. And boy, oh boy, Derek Carr.
We talked about Derek Carr last episode.
We could have, but
we could have got it out the way.
I'm gonna try to hold in my built-up kind of anger towards him right now.
So do you think that he's faking it?
Yeah. I saw Nick Underhill say that in March that he wanted to be traded a month before that quote came out in March. Well, so on last Friday, the 11th, report came out saying Derek Carr could miss the season due to a shoulder injury. And on Tuesday, interview came out, or not an interview, but a podcast with Diana Rossini and Chase Daniels, former Saints quarterback. She started the rumors, or not, I don't know about rumors, but she had inside sources saying Derek Carr is faking the injury. This whole thing's a publicity stunt. And I'm on board with that.
Whether it be that he's faking the injury or not, I mean, he wasn't guaranteed to be a starting quarterback. Because, you have Rattler coming in as a guy who, I mean, it would have been a competitive camp for sure. He wasn't
okay.
He wasn't going to be your guaranteed starter, especially with Kellen Moore coming in.
See, I kind of agree with you with he might not have been a starter because the Saints could have done what the Packers did. 2020, they drafted Jordan Love. How does their, at the time, starter, Aaron Rodgers, respond? 2 MVPs in a row. It made
think Derek Carr is Aaron Rodgers.
No, I'm just saying, but Derek Carr had the polar opposite reaction of Aaron Rodgers. He said, I want to get the heck out of Dodge. After in an interview, and I believe it was after the season, like February, March. I forgot who asked him. It was like Kay Adams or something, I believe. Could be wrong. He was asked, would he take a pay cut to help out the team with the cap situation? And he said, no, flat out no. But to be a good guy, to give himself a little pat, he said, I take a restructure. And then what makes me mad is then he came out and said, no, I don't want to restructure, even though he signed the contract that says, I will take a restructure. It's the Saints' obligation. If Derek Carr needs a restructure, he can be restructured. But no, he's just get a $60 million signing bonus, and the Saints are tied to him for the next two or 3 years financially, putting him in cap hell. Yeah, what's your take?
Oh man.
Okay.
So how does it work if you were to cut him?
I think it's like $20 million in day cap. Well, so Gum Smack and Mickey came out. I saw this report saying they knew about this. They knew about the injury before they signed him in 2023. This
and then they're going to give him $60 million.
mad. Yeah, yes. And you $100 million. Sign him to a 4-year, 3-year, $100 million contract. Derek Carr wants to get out now, even though he just got restructured, got more money at the time. And he says, "No, I want to leave."
But he didn't want back at the end of last season or over the summer. He didn't want to be traded.
There could be a game going, unless there's a game going on in Derek Carr's house. He's not suiting up and playing for the Saints, basically. So his tenure in New Orleans is over.
Hey, next man up.
This is what I'm gathering.
Rattler Shador season, baby.
Kyle McCord, I want to talk about him later. Derek Carr should have never been signed as a Saint. I get it. Actually, the Raiders didn't even want Derek Carr. They wouldn't sign him. They'd rather go through Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, and now they got their quarterback Geno Smith.
Yeah, they gave up on bro. Was it like midway through the season?
Yeah, they benched him. Like the Oakland Raiders or Las Vegas Raiders they don't want you. So why did the Saints want him? Yeah, you got a mid-tier quarterback signed for $100 million. Like he's your highest paid player on the team. And like, what is that?
What was the other team? What was the other team that he almost went to? So I know, like, it came down to the Saints and this one other team. I don't remember the team though.
I don't know.
Was it? No, the Rams already had Stafford. I'm trying to remember who it was.
You lost me. I have no clue. Well, what I was
really
saying,
can't remember. But I didn't think the Saints were going to end up getting him. But
I was hype at first, but then it's brought the Saints through a turmoil. For the first 2 weeks of the season, I thought we were back, but now, no. Well, going back to what was all transpired, what does this say about the ownership? You still have Mickey Loomis in office. You know, you could have drafted a quarterback multiple years ago to avoid all of this.
Could have drafted Patrick Mahomes, didn't you?
Well, you got Marshawn Lattimore instead and traded him for multiple third-round picks. But, yeah, the Kansas City ended up trading ahead of us. Well, meanwhile, 2 steps across the road, the Pelicans just fired David Griffin, who built a fantastic team. Meanwhile, Gumsmack and Mickey Loomis still in office after bringing us to hell. Like, I mean, now
always at the bottom of cap space every year.
You're
never being able to sign free agents
unless you restructure and keep tying yourself to this player year after year after year after year. Well,
it's crazy.
Now, Kellen Moore wants his guy either in the next year or this year or next year's draft, 2026, which is bringing me up to our final segment, draft sleepers. You get any sleepers? Did you write down any sleepers that are noteworthy that you want to see? The black and gold.
Let me name my sleepers. So first one is running back Cam Skattebo, however you pronounce it, from ASU. I believe he finished, was it 5th in the Heisman voting? He was up there. He had a lot of yards this season. You know, he's 5'11", 216. Really looks bigger than that, if I'm being honest, on the field.
He looks like a linebacker in a running back body.
The reason that he's really slept on and his stock might have fell, but I still believe he's a sleeper. But his stock fell because he ran a 4.65 40 at his pro day, which is not great. No, you know, even for a running back, it's still not great.
But whenever you're
however, he had a 40-inch vert at the running back position.
That's
you know, you get there's elite level, some of the most running backs in the NFL who probably don't have that. You know, he's just a freak athlete. That's all the notes I had on him, but you know, he's one of the main sleepers at the running back position to me, even though there's depth for days in that position.
Yeah.
And then my other sleeper was Braden Swinson from LSU, 6'4", 255 edge rusher, which, I mean, one of the main problems with him is that he needs to bulk up to play in that level. I think he did, but he had 6 in the first 5 games,
Yeah,
and then
remember
I
that.
think he finished with maybe 8. But he was
8 and
still
12
very
games.
productive. But yeah, he was a breakout player for sure.
I did a little analysis on 4 players. I don't know about analysis, but a little bit about them, and I wrote down 3 others. First guy, national champion, Jack Sawyer, 6'5", 265, former 5-star out of high school. I've heard he was a captain of the team last year. His locker room presence is unreal. He brings leadership, intensity, and character. Just everything the Saints need right now. Whenever your need is yes to everything, and you have a locker room that's splintered right now, Jack Sawyer's your guy to put that thing together. Rookie, I don't care.
What round is he projected to go in?
I don't know. PFF had him at 130 or something like that.
Yeah, because I would have figured, he was one of the he was
Mm-hmm.
like a top 5 player coming out of high school. He really didn't
Yeah.
disappoint that much in college either.
Finished his career with 25 sacks.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, in 4 years. Right now, he's a plug-and-play guy you could put on the Saints. And he's a ceiling of what I put as a Pro Bowl. Now, people are saying he has a high floor, which I believe. That's why I said he's a plug-and-play guy. But I believe he could be a Pro Bowl guy if he can keep
He's like a
developing.
Max Crosby kind of guy, isn't he?
Yeah. Except he's from a bigger school and not Eastern Michigan. Next guy, he's a halfback. But main reason I'm wearing this jersey, Taysom Hill, I don't know if you can see it, is that he was a multi-sport athlete coming out of high school. Taysom type guy. He played baseball, football. Taysom didn't play baseball, I believe. But Kansas, oh, my dog's scratching the door, I'll let him in. Kansas let Devin Neal play some at quarterback. Now they were in short yardage situations, but Kellen Moore's creative. He can develop some stuff around him. You could probably do, I don't know if you play college football 25, but the double pass rail, where he gets the ball out wide and throws it downfield. But
Taysom Hill replaceable.
Taysom Hill can kind of, now he's not as big as Taysom Hill, nor as I say, big, bulky, strong. He's not going to play linebacker or tight end. He's going to be halfback, wide receiver, some at quarterback. He's elusive, speedy, and to me, he's a perfect heir to Alvin Kamara. Great third down back, receiver, and pass blocker. Textbook.
Hey.
Yeah. But Isaac Tesla from Arkansas, 6'4", 215 wide receiver. He didn't play that great at Arkansas last year. He transferred out of Division II school, where his dad also played at D2 football. But he was the best. He had the most raw athletic score at the combine. He had a score of 96. 4.43 40, 40-inch vert, and 17 reps of 225.
It's an all-around stud right there.
Yeah. He had 28 receptions, 546 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So, it's not like he's not productive. He brings another element to the Saints wide receiver room. If I, can say that. To me, I'd rather Isaac Tesla over Dante Pettis or Bub Means. You agree with that?
I mean, Dante Pettis is, did he return a few punts this year? It's always good to have those good special team guys. And Bub Means, you really don't know what you're getting from him yet. You saw him a little bit when everybody went down, but you haven't fulfilled his thing. But yeah, I mean, obviously Tesla, you bring him in somewhere, let him get that experience.
He could probably be your slot receiver, 6'4". Go up and get it.
Testing like that, that's how players really make or break their NFL stock career. They test the pro day for the combine and they improve everything. And they go on to become insane players.
Well, I was reading the PFF thing on him. It said He was down at like 218 overall. Then here comes his pro day / combine. Shoots all the way up to 120, 140-ish, somewhere around there. That's why I like him so much. Just because, not because he's a great receiver, per se, like doesn't have a great film, but his athletic score, which is, something to believe he could be something in the NFL.
You can only be so athletic naturally. That proves that he's a hard worker and he puts in work, and that's always great to have in a wide receiver room or on a team.
Yeah. Last guy, I said I was going to talk about him. Kyle McCord. Talked about his wide receiver earlier. Trevor Pena. Let's just say he's a winner and brings something else to this New Orleans Saints that they haven't had in a while. Record of 44-1 in high school, 12-1 at Ohio State, and a nearly perfect at Syracuse. Like, he's a winner, and he's a freaking gunslinger. I remember one game I watched. I'm sorry?
He'd be your fourth QB though.
No, I'd rather Kyle McCord over Rattler. I'm sorry. Over Haener. Not. I can't.
Not right now. Maybe.
Yeah,
let's watch him put up some crazy preseason numbers first before we evaluate him like that.
Same thing with Rattler. Rattler he only won 2-3 games with you. Well, more about Kyle McCord. He had a blow-up game against at Pitt. It was at Pitt. Had like 3 interceptions, something. They lost a game. But after that game, he followed that with 234 consecutive passes without an interception. Like, you need somebody to knock the ball over. Well, about Pitt blew up game at Pitt, had 3 or 4 interceptions. Then he followed that game with 234 consecutive passes without an interception.
Safe to say he learned his lesson.
He did. That's what he said on John Gruden's QB class. I watched that earlier, where I can kind of form an opinion about him. But he capped off that regular season with a win over Miami that sealed their fate. Miami's fate. No more playoffs for them. Went to go play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
I'm pretty sure I said last episode that there's no point in taking a QB late, in my opinion, for the Saints.
Well, you have to take a quarterback at some point because you can't go into the season with 2. You either sign a veteran and draft a quarterback or just draft a quarterback in the second.
Well, actually, no, let me rephrase that. I said don't take a quarterback late if you expect him to be your starter or maybe second string. Just add depth.
You kind of, if you don't draft somebody in the first or second round, let's say Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart. If you don't draft either one of those two, you have to sign a veteran like Blake Bortles or Ryan Tannehill he's 40 years old, but get him for 1 year and draft a guy like Kyle McCord to
the idea of Shedeur
add more depth, and the veteran can mentor.
The idea of Shedeur is growing on me. I think he wouldn't be the worst pick in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't pick a quarterback in the 3rd round or 2nd round like Jackson Dart.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've seen Jackson Dart mocked to the Saints at 9 because
that's unbelievable.
They get that desperate. Kellen Moore must be seeing the reincarnation of Drew Brees out of Jackson Dart.
That has to be it that Shedeur goes before the 9th pick, but they take Jackson, correct?
Correct. Either somebody trades up before the Saints, or the Falcons using the Falcons as an example. They take Michael Penix Jr. to sit for 2 years, or he goes at 3 to the Giants. No one else is taking a quarterback.
I just don't think when you have Rattler that, you don't really know. He's a good quarterback, but Jackson Dart and the Milrose, you're not going to automatically say that they're better than Rattler. That's why if you draft Shedeur, I feel like he could be your starter over Rattler.
Plug and play. And I'm not drinking where the Kool-Aid where he's a bad locker room guy. He made kind of one I say bad comment against the offensive lineman last year, but that's the only thing I've really seen. Everybody else has said good things about him inside the locker room.
You talking about Jackson or Rattler?
Shador.
Oh, Shador. Oh, no, I don't
Yeah.
think he's a bad locker room guy at all. I
And
haven't even heard those rumors.
yeah, well, I just saw that clip where he was dissing offensive lineman, kind of.
I mean, when your dad's the head coach, you kind of have authority to go all out.
Yeah. Which I don't really like that. I don't like your dad being your head coach. But about Shador, you say his arm strength is bad. Look at the last guy you brought in that had a bad arm strength and played in the dome. Drew Brees, one of the GOATs, greatest quarterback of all time. So I'm not drinking
You
that.
can pinpoint the ball. It doesn't matter about
That's right.
your arm strength.
And he's not slow. I wouldn't say he's elusive, but he can kind of scramble, get out of the pocket.
Yeah, he's semi-athletic. He's like
his dad's Shador Sanders, not Shador.
He's
his
like
dad's
a two or pre 5 concussions. He's like who else am I trying to think of? He's like a Tua with his semi-athleticism.
Uh-huh.
There's other quarterbacks in the NFL who can extend a play and have that escape artist ability, like a Russell Wilson.
Well, I want to add on to Kyle McCord because we just talked about Shador Sanders for 4 minutes, and he wasn't really on the agenda, which is why it's called off script. We go off script. We're just two guys with ADHD.
Correct.
Kyle McCord, strong-armed guy. Look at the last few quarterbacks Kellen Moore has been with. Dak Prescott. I don't know about a strong arm, but kind of smart with the football. Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts. So why doesn't this fit the mold? Like this could be the guy that you want if you're Kellen Moore.
I mean, if he wants to take him, go ahead. If you believe in him that much, but I wouldn't do it unless you want him for depth.
Well, we're already at 48 minutes, so we need to move on with the next three guys and wrap this baby up. Kobe Bryant, not the basketball player, the cornerback out of Kansas. One of the most highly touted people before the college football season start, and now there's more guys that are ranked higher than him. But if you're one of the best guys, that's predicted to come in college, I feel like you have some potential. And he could be a guy that comes into the Saints defensive back room that's pretty lackluster right now and kind of break out onto the scene year one. You got Kool-Aid be your slot corner, and Alontae Taylor, correct? So Alontae Taylor is not very good outside, and that's what Kobe Bryant's good at. Good outside receiver, or corner. And played for Kansas. Kansas is
So he's like a top three round guy around that range.
3 to 4. If he goes in the 5th, it's a steal to me.
Yeah, so that'd be them skipping on a Will Johnson and then getting them later.
Well, the only way you get Will Johnson is if you trade back into the first round or you get him at 9. And I don't think he's going to be a Saint at 9.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't get Will Johnson at 9, then obviously you'd be looking for corners later.
Which is why I have another guy that's a defensive back. You have Tyrann Mathieu. He's pretty old now. Going to be retiring soon. Needs to start mentoring some players. Caleb Branshaw from downtown New Orleans and Tulane. He was an impact player per CFB 25. Had a pretty good season, senior season. And I'm all in on this train. Tulane went to the conference championship. Did they get blown out by Seth Hennigan and the Memphis Tigers? Yes. But they were regarded as one of the best teams or the best team in the state of Louisiana at one point. And that's credit to his leadership on the defensive side of the ball.
Keep him home.
Yeah. Just walk right across the street. To wrap all this puppy up, I have another guy, Jalen Rivers, offensive tackle, Miami, just to add a little bit of depth at O-line.
They need O-line for sure. I can see them going O-line, maybe with their second round pick's high, isn't it?
Yeah.
If a guy falls, if an O-lineman falls, no, you probably would look to take one at that spot.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have on the second installment of Off Script. I'm Cade Neidhamer. He's John Todd Thompson. Signing off. Uh-oh.